Hi everyone, this is Dr. Liv with Livwithnewinsight, and thank you for joining me in another video. Today's video is part 2 of Abuse is Not Funny. Many people believe that when someone has lied, cheated, hurt others, or made poor choices, they somehow deserve to be abused. Maybe the person cheated with someone who was married or already in a committed relationship. Maybe they knowingly caused another person's pain, misery, and conflict. Maybe they even bragged or boasted about what they did. And then later, that same person finds themselves in an abusive relationship. So the question becomes, does what they did in the past justify the abuse they receive now? Some people will say yes, others will say no. But let's be clear. There is no justification for abuse. Abuse does not become acceptable because you dislike the person receiving it. And this is where we often see a double standard. When a person is likable, people tend to have more sympathy for them. They may give them grace. They may excuse their behaviors or find reasons to explain why they made certain choices. But when a person is arrogant, cocky, unlikable for whatever reason, or has repeatedly made reckless and harmful choices, people may have little to no sympathy for them. Some people will even say they got what they deserved. But wrong is wrong, regardless of how you feel about the person. Someone can be wrong for what they did and still not deserve to be abused. Both things can exist at the same time, and accountability applies to both people. The person who is abusing is accountable for choosing to lie, manipulate, exploit, control, use, or harm another person. And the person being abused is responsible for recognizing their own choices and patterns and making decisions that protect their well-being. Now, this does not mean that someone causes or deserves their abuse. It means that once you recognize repeated patterns of unhealthy or harmful behavior, you have to make decisions based on what you are actually seeing and experiencing, not what you wish the person would become. Sometimes people stay in relationships because they believe, if I love them enough, they'll change. If I'm loyal enough, they'll change. If I give them more of myself, they'll appreciate me. If I have enough patience, they'll eventually become the person I need them to be. But repeatedly expecting a person to become someone different while ignoring their consistent behavior can become a form of self-sabotage. If someone repeatedly shows you the same destructive patterns, you have to be willing to accept what their behavior is telling you. Your love cannot force someone to change. Your loyalty cannot make someone accountable. Sex, money, forgiveness, patience, or servitude cannot transform someone who does not want to change. And staying connected to someone who repeatedly brings chaos, confusion, drama, conflict, headache, and heartache into your life can come at a serious cost to your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And when you decide to leave the relationship, regardless of whether it's a friendship or intimate relationship, sometimes people will call leaving abandonment. But leaving a toxic or abusive situation isn't abandonment. It's self-respect and self-protection. Sometimes leaving is finally saying, I don't want to live like this anymore. And you don't have to prove anything by staying. You don't have to convince other people that you tried hard enough. And you don't have to defend yourself against every narrative people create about you. Let people talk and let people believe whatever story they want to believe, because your responsibility is not to manage their perception of you. Your responsibility is to protect your peace, your health, your safety, and your well-being. So remember, whether someone is likable or unlikable, whether they made good choices or bad choices, whether you agree with their behavior or disagree with it. Abuse is still abuse, and abuse is not funny. No one has to be perfect to deserve to be treated with basic human dignity and safety. At the same time, you don't have to remain connected to someone whose repeated behavior is harmful to you. Accountability and compassion can exist at the same time. So you can say, for example, what you did was wrong, without saying, therefore, you deserve to be abused. And you can say, what happened to you was wrong, while also saying, you need to make healthier choices about who you allow access to your life. That's not victim blaming. That's recognizing that two things can be true at the same time. Wrong is wrong, abuse is abuse, and protecting yourself from toxicity is not cruelty. It's self-respect. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.